As a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis, and you may be thinking, hey, COVID is over, and so the only thing that we have to deal with in terms of the law and the Constitution is making sure that that narrative and that kind of coercion never happens again, and maybe some remedies for the harms of the people who were coerced into taking the vaccine. Well, my guest today, Pete Serrano, who is the general counsel for the Silent Majority Foundation, is still litigating some COVID cases. Yes, we are still going through all of this on the judiciary level, and also we really still need legislative remedies. So if you are interested in the medical freedom issue, Second Amendment, the Constitution in general, which is, I know all of you really need to listen to what Pete Serrano has to say about his cases and the fight for freedom in this country. He'll join me right after this. With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you. So joining me now is the general counsel of the Silent Majority Foundation, Pete Serrano. And Pete, this is such a wonderful organization, and you guys are doing a lot of great work. So just as an overall, what is the Silent Majority Foundation, and what is your mission for those who haven't yet heard about you?
Yeah, Jenna, first, thanks for having me on. And I'm excited to talk about it. Silent Majority Foundation is a nonprofit organization, and we stand to protect individual liberties and civil rights and get back to what the Constitution should be, not what the various administrations or administrative agencies want it to become in our day and age. And so, for example, when we look at bodily autonomy, while that's not expressly written in the Constitution, we know each individual has that right to say, no, I don't have a contract to work with you that's based on injecting something in my body. Similarly, in the state of Washington, we're having a lot of what you would call Second Amendment issues, a lot of gun rights issues where assault weapons are banned, even though these are long-time, very popular firearms that have nothing special about them. And so we're litigating these issues. We're trying to make sure that people have the ability to work and live and worship and speak and, pursue the hobbies that they want.
That's awesome. And more lawyers need to be engaged in these types of battles because, I have said for years, and this is why I've done the media that I've done, is to encourage people to think about the Constitution, not as the Supreme Court has said, or all of these opinions that have derived different doctrines and proof texted and said, we're going to read between the lines of the Constitution and pull out rights and then think that we have jurisdiction over it and to make up all of these rulings and doctrines, but to actually go back to what the Constitution says and the limited power that it gives to the federal government and even to state governments through the 9th and 10th Amendment to protect and preserve our individual rights. And I feel like, Pete, we've totally lost that view of the Constitution, that government exists to preserve and protect our rights, not to mandate things like a compulsory experimental vaccine. I mean, where did we get as a society so far off track that some of these leftists and even some courts think that that type of power and authority is permissible under our system of government?
It's wild to me. I've got a case, and I hope you don't mind me just jumping into a couple. I've
Sure.
got one case that I have a hearing on, and the issue before the court is that the Washington Medical Commission adopted what it calls a position statement. That's an unenforceable advisory opinion. It has every right to do so. But now it's going back, and it was a COVID-19 misinformation position statement, and it's hammering doctors. The count I have is about 12 or 14 in Washington State, doctors and physicians' assistants who have been disciplined under this position statement. The commission says, oh, it's a non-binding statement. We're disciplining you under the Uniform Disciplinary Act. So we're suing the Washington Medical Commission saying, you know what? This is actually a rule. And under the Administrative Procedures Act, you had to give notice. You had to give opportunity for a comment. The fact that you adopted a standard of care, that you've called certain speech, quote unquote, misinformation, that is the standard of care you're seeking to enforce. And you can't just dance around it by saying, oh, don't worry, we're enforcing the Disciplinary Act, which is okay. And I absolutely agree. When a doctor goes out and botches a surgery, or you find often cases there's some sort of sexual assault by doctors when someone's under anesthetics, that's fine. That's the commission's right. But it can't go out and just say, hey, we've got a statement out there, and now all of a sudden you have 12.5 doctors who are losing licenses or at the risk of losing licenses for saying, hey, this COVID injection, this COVID shot, we're not sure about it. Oh, by the way, ivermectin prophylactically helps, and it's going to probably keep you out of the hospital. But guess what? If you get worse after 7 to 10 days, go to the hospital. That's what these doctors are doing. And so we've got 4 of them, one of whom got in trouble for testifying at Senator Ron Johnson's hearing last year. I mean, it's talk about a banana republic, and I don't want to just go on, but it's crazy. It boils my blood that why are we even here? That's not what the Constitution does. It allows you and I, if we disagree or agree, to have that conversation and walk away at the end of the day and say, you know what, the law is the law. And, unfortunately, our government has run over that.
Yeah. And that is so true, that I think so many Americans, our blood is boiling because we're seeing how the government consistently is encroaching through not even legislative solutions, but these unelected bureaucrats that are implementing policy and mandates that have not gone through the legislative process. They have no basis in law or fact, and yet they're trying to hold out these mandates as enforceable under this really, crazy thought process of these emergency powers acts that are totally being manipulated. I mean, what the Supreme Court said in the OSHA decision, for example, saying to companies, no, the government can't force you, if you have 100 employees or more, to compel them to take this experimental vaccine. The statute does not cover that. You are trying to extend this over broadly. And that was a good decision, but it came, in my opinion, far too late down the line. This should have been in 2020, when some of these cases were initially going to the Supreme Court, like some of the cases that I litigated for churches, that the Supreme Court initially said, no, the government can tell church that it can't worship. I mean, that's insane. And so as we're coming out of this whole COVID narrative of fear, and we're talking about the right to disagree, we're talking about the right to choose our medical doctors. And if one medical doctor wants to say, yeah, ivermectin's good, and the other one says, no, it's bad, and then we decide whose advice we want to take, that's America. And so in your experience, are courts finally kind of seeing this, or do we still have this split between conservative originalists and leftist, fluid constitutionalists that want to say, everything is misinformation. That's not just a Democrat policy.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you hit it on the head. I think we're still seeing a strong split, and it's red and blue states, it's left and right. I happen to be in Washington State, and a lot of folks call it the Ninth Circus, right? And I will say this: President Trump did us some favors. There are some good judges that were appointed, at least at the circuit level. And so it's unfortunate that it seems like there's a little bit of politic before the court, or maybe a lot of politic before the court. And it's very tough. It's frustrating, as someone who spent, the past 15 years of my career doing various litigation, administrative work. And here I've always tried to defer to the judge, right? My comment to my colleagues is I put on a suit, not a black robe, right? And we've held these judges in high esteem, and you read these opinions that are just bleeding, unfortunately, politic. And, I don't know what to do about that, but I have one job to do, and it's to advance the facts and the law and appeal it and appeal it and appeal it until the end of the day. And we have a case on behalf of 314 federal workers and federal employees. There's a large Department of Energy site that's right out in my neighborhood. And we took the Biden administration and sued them for the 2 executive orders early on. And that wound its way through the Ninth Circuit. And the Ninth Circuit said that you can't get damages under the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. And there's been some interesting case law in various circuits, and there's a question as to whether or not there's a split in the circuits. Even the Supreme Court kind of softly touched on it about 4 years ago. And so, to your point, while you may have these kind of liberal interpretations that are coming, and then the Fifth Circuit, down in the center of the country in the Southeast, it comes out and says no damages are available. I think this is where the Supreme Court, God willing, hears it. And then we have the final rule, and either they're going to say, hey, we're going to defer to Congress to do this, or, at least we're going to, put the 2 children down, and we're going to step in the middle and say, hey, look, this is what the law says. If Congress wants to change it, so be it.
Yeah, and I think it may be surprising to some listeners to hear that some of these medical freedom cases that originated during the COVID mandates and these executive orders and all that are still going through the process, because it seems like because COVID is kind of over and there isn't this compulsory vaccine, a lot of people are thinking of this only in terms of after the fact, maybe vaccine damages and some of those harms. But where in your view, in litigating some of this, where are the issues for medical freedom and those issues? Where is that at in the perception of the judiciary right now? And where do you hope that will eventually be?
Well, unfortunately, I think the judiciary, to your point, is much like the large swath of the public, which says, oh, hey, COVID is done and over. I haven't worn a mask in X days or years or whatever. I've been going back to my church, my gym, or whatever, my places were that I was prohibited from. So I do see a lot of the judiciary who almost scoff at the fact that we're still bringing these cases or that we're appealing them. And it's like, listen, Your Honor, these people's rights were impacted. That's what you are here to provide. You are here to provide a remedy, because we believe there is remedy at law. Some of those could be monetary damages. And in other cases, we've asked for injunction and had to tack on the damages on the back end because, to that point, we can't ask for an injunction on something that's gone away. And so a lot of the judiciary is saying, oh, well, it's gone away. I can't enjoin anything. Your client only lost a couple days of work or whatever the case might be. These are not like real damages. And again, there's the whole, mental and emotional element, having to place one's religion right up front into some, abyss of the workplace where it's going off to HR to go to this other organization. So, yeah, unfortunately, the judges, a lot of them aren't seeing it. But, it's real impacts representing these doctors who are being punished for speaking out for ivermectin 2 years ago. I mean,
Wow.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. And it's going to happen again, just in a different context. I truly believe that the whole COVID narrative was to try to lay the groundwork that government could just obtain whatever power for an indefinite time period that it wanted under the auspices of an Emergency Powers Act. And so I hope that legislatures in states really look at their emergency powers that are legislative delegation to the executive, and they wind that back a little bit so that governors and the executive branches and these health officials and all of these unelected agency bureaucrats can't just harness this emergency power whenever the governor declares. And like in California, for example, it's just indefinite until Gavin Newsom decides he wants to hand power back. I mean, that's not going to happen until a court told him he had to. And so this has to be a legislative solution, but it also has to be a judicial remedy looking forward, because what happens when the Democrats decide to declare a climate crisis and say, so now we're going to take over your bank account, or we're going to tell you you have too big of a carbon footprint, or we're going to have all of these other consequences. I mean, these are real things that, COVID itself, that whole narrative might be over per se, but the impacts and the precedent certainly we still need to be concerned with. And so I'm very grateful that there are organizations like the Silent Majority Foundation and others that are litigating these things so that we can have some good precedent in place to refer to when the next power grab happens from the executive. And in just the last 2 minutes I have with you, Pete Serrano, I want to also ask you about your Second Amendment litigation, because that's definitely an issue that all of my audience, everyone listening, really cares about and is very concerned with.
Yeah, I mean, we have several cases, both in federal and in state court. One of our first cases was the 10-round magazine ban, the large capacity. And we've seen our attorney general just absolutely abuse the bill that was brought in the state of Washington. He has the authority via the bill to actually go after these places of business that were selling these magazines, and he's done so in several instances. And some he's settled, and one he's teeing up for long litigation to the tune of up to $5,000 per magazine, which constitutes its own violation. And so, we think it's critically important that we stop that. We had a hearing the day before Thanksgiving in federal court on our LCM, our 10-round magazine ban. And the judge said, I'll rule in 30 days. And, by all of my counts, we're now 180, 210 days beyond that. So we're hoping to get that. There have been other cases that have come up and down in various circuits. So we continually ping the judge and say, look, Your Honor, this is hopefully helpful to you in finding that we are correct. We have 2 other cases in state court, and we've intentionally brought them under the Washington state constitution because when you look at the analysis, it's shall not be impaired rather than infringed, those rights. And so, the Washington Constitution, there's case law that says that the United States Constitution is the floor, and it only moves upward from there with the Washington Constitution. And yet we're still seeing judges who are, for example, in our assault weapons ban, which is various types of very commonly owned firearms, ARs, for example, calling them assault rifles, which they're not, but that's a whole nother topic for another day. But she has this misnomer, and she says, well, I don't know that they're protected arms. And it's like, how is this different than if I carry, my Glock with me on my hip? Obviously it's a rifle versus the handgun. But the point is, it functions very similarly. It's interesting. I don't know if there's a better word than it's crazy. Just sometimes the mental gymnastics that we're seeing done right in our face. And, we're just going to keep pressing because that's the only thing we can do, and eventually push it to the Supreme Court, because that's where we know there's safe ground for now.
Yeah, for now. And that's really it. I mean, it's preserving and protecting our rights is a consistent battle that liberty is just one generation away from extinction, right? As Reagan put it. And I would say at this point, just one Supreme Court opinion or one election away. I mean, not even just a generation. It's so fragile, really. And that's why the work that you do is so important. That's why we need even more attorneys who understand this, that are willing to engage in the fight. So thank you for the work that you do. And I know that you are a nonprofit. So how can people find you and support the great work that you do?
Yeah, silentmajorityfoundation.org is our website. We try to host as many of our documents as possible. We also have our socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and our Substack, which has various interviews. Again, through our silentmajorityfoundation.org webpage, we'll host some documents on Substack as well. So come check us out. We're going to do the work. We're going to do God's work as long as we can.
Amen to that. And that's all that we can do. So Pete Serrano, General Counsel for the Silent Majority Foundation, really appreciate your time today. And again, thank you so much for the work you do. It's so incredibly important.
Thank you.
With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to your to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you.
On MyPillow's 20-year anniversary, with over 80 million MyPillows sold, Mike Lindell wants to thank each and every one of you by giving you the lowest price in history on his MyPillows. You will receive a queen-size MyPillow for only $19.98. The regular price is $69.98 and just $10 more for a king size. You'll receive deep discounts on all MyPillow products such as bed sheets, mattress toppers, pet beds, mattresses, my slippers, which I love, and so much more. This is the time to try out some of the amazing products you've had your eye on from MyPillow. So go to mypillow.com and enter promo code Jenna to receive this amazing offer on the queen size MyPillow for $19.98. You can go to mypillow.com or call 1-800-564-8475. Be sure to use the promo code Jenna. This offer comes with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. It's time to start getting the quality sleep you deserve. This offer comes with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. It's time to start getting the quality sleep you deserve. Go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Jenna.